Give an example of one vote you cast or one decision you made that you later came to regret. What lesson did you learn from it?
Let me think about that. I have 1 minute to think and 30 seconds to answer. One vote that I regret.
Or decision.
I'm having trouble thinking of one. Greg Fox could probably tell me. Okay, there you go.
So I just made the same comment I could give you.
You're welcome to the program.
Rain tax. Withdrawing my bill.
No.
Maybe a different vote the next month, so.
I can't think of one, but if I do think of one, I'll be sure to share it. Okay.
Thank you. It's a little easier for me, I agree, because I got a chance to think about it. I was thinking about a decision I made. When I first got elected to the state senate, I was told everybody who gets elected to the legislature spends all the nights down in Annapolis. And you should get what they call a 90-day contract. And you should get a hotel room or a house, and you should stay there. You should have it for all 90 days. Even if you don't stay there, you should have it available for you. And I made the regretful decision to do that. For the first few years that I was in Annapolis, I did that. And then I realized, what a waste of taxpayer money. What a waste to have us have these 90-day contracts where we take your money and we put it into a hotel room that we're not even staying in most of the time. Because most people come home on the weekends, but still you're paying for Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. There's nobody in that room. And a lot of us come home even during the week. So I made a decision after that I was not going to be dealing with these 90-day contracts, that I was going to come home, and I stayed maybe 6 or 7 nights a session. Because I could drive 45 minutes to get home. A lot of my constituents drive much farther than that to go home. And I said, that's wrong. And so also, I tried to fix that. I put in bills a couple times to say that if you were in Annapolis and you lived within 50 miles of Annapolis, you couldn't have a 90-day contract. You had to drive home, just like your constituents. I was not a popular man in Annapolis with that bill, I can tell you. Both Republicans and Democrats weren't happy with me because some people like to stay down in Annapolis, even if they could be home in a half hour. I thought that was wrong. So I regret the decision that I made to stay in those hotel rooms or to have that hotel 90-day contract. I regret that. I think it's a decision I wouldn't do again if I had had that again. But I'm pleased the fact that I at least stood up to try to change it. I think that that's something that hopefully the legislature will change in the future.
Ms. Watson, will you please comment on the statement?
Sure, that was fast. I want to thank PTA Council again for having us, and I think it's really important when we talk about education to make sure that we have a county executive who's very supportive of education, has the vision, the experience, and the results. As a former Board of Education member, as a mom with 3 kids who went through the school system, as a graduate of the public school system myself, as a businesswoman, I believe that I have the experience necessary to serve as county executive. And not only that, but I believe I have the results. I've been able to work with the existing county council to make sure that my ideas in the form of legislation have gone through. 93% of the bills that I have submitted have been passed by our county council. And I believe I have the working relationship to make sure that we continue the progress in our county. We have the #1 school system. We have the #1 library system. We have the best quality of life in the country. We're the only county that's been in the top 10 best places to live in America by Money Magazine for the last 10 years. It's important that we continue that progress. I have the results to show for it. And I am very excited about my vision for education. I want to make sure that we have a liaison to the school system and the community college to make sure that the investments that we are making are paying off and that we have constant communication with the leadership of the school system and the community college. It is important that our school system stay on top. I have a very strong funding record for the school system, which is different than my opponent. My opponent voted against school funding 7 years in a row when he was in Annapolis, and 1 year as a county council member. Thank you.
Mr. Kittleman, closing response.
Closing response, are there any questions from the audience?
Oh, after the
You
closing.
get a closing statement, then we'll turn to the audience.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, sure. So I will say thank you for still be here. But no, I enjoyed answering the questions that were prepared for us. I look forward to your questions as well. My opponent has gone around Howard County saying this all the time, that I voted to cut funding. The votes she's talking about are votes from the state budget. The state of Maryland, unfortunately, does not have two separate votes, whether you vote for education or you have to vote for the general budget. You just vote for one budget. Unlike that in Howard County, when you're in the Howard County Council, you get to vote for the general budget, but you also get to vote for the budget resolution. And all 6 years I was on the Howard County Council, I voted in favor of the education budget resolution. I have a strong record on pro-education funding. And when I was in the state of Maryland, I think my constituents, I think most people in Howard County that I talk to are very frustrated by the increase in spending in Annapolis. Just this past year, just a few months ago, Comptroller Francho announced that we have a $400 million deficit. It tells me that when I voted against the governor's budget this year, perhaps I had a reason. And when we try to steal money from our transportation trust fund, when I vote against the budget, perhaps I have a reason. When we try to steal money from the Injured Workers Insurance Fund because we want to take money out of their trust fund, I think there's a reason why we voted no to the governor's budget. But it's not because of education. Education is my #1 priority and it will continue to be so. So don't ever believe someone when they tell you that I don't support education funding. I do.
Thank you. Now we're going to open it up to you, the audience, to bring your questions forward, please. For the candidates, anybody have any? Just walk up to the microphone. They'll still apply to these questions.
Good afternoon. Ms. Watson, would you please elaborate on the IB program and your estimation of when that program will be implemented in our schools?
International Baccalaureate program is something that I think the school board should offer in our schools. It is an internationally recognized diploma, and it's a rigorous program. We currently have the AP program, but many other school systems offer IB. I believe it's something we should offer in Howard County. I think it's long overdue. It is the Board of Education's decision on when to offer it and how fast it will be implemented. I know that they have had discussions about it. I think there is some debate among the board whether they will offer it. But if you're asking, if you have children in the school system, you're asking when it might be here, I would say it would be at least a couple of years because it has to be implemented and funded if they decide to offer it. I'm encouraging them to do that because I think in a #1 school system in the country, IB is a program that should be offered, especially in our global world, that we have an internationally recognized diploma. It's also very competitive for students, useful on their resumes to get into college.
I certainly agree with Ms. Watson on that. The more programs we can have for our students, the better. I think we should also consider looking at other magnet programs. Unfortunately, we had a situation where we had a magnet program in the past that was just too easy to get into, and some people used it and abused it. But in Montgomery County, they have a very strong magnet program where people actually test into that, and it really makes it something that people really want to be in. And I think we should consider doing that in Howard County. I think it's a way in which we can increase and improve our school system, schools throughout the county. If we include Oakland Mills as having a magnet program for, let's say, honors program, then that would be a great thing. So if people who want to go to the honors program would test into it, and they would go to Oakland Mills, or maybe they go to Long Ridge, or maybe they would go to Centennial or whatever else. I mean, I think those would be ways we can look at it, but certainly the IB program would be something that would be beneficial as well.
At this time, also, if somebody wants to pass down their question, I will collect them and read that for that person. Hi, I have kind of a long question. I moved here in 2000 from California, and I brought my third grader. My third grader was getting she was in a magnet program, a GT magnet program. She was getting full day GT, and she was getting second language by second grade. My third grade, when we got here, she was already 2 years ahead of the Maryland program. We were paying $7,000 per student per year in California, and the taxes here were $11,000 something for a lesser program. Now I have stayed in touch with the Board of Ed, and I have stayed involved. I ended up putting my daughter out homeschooling her and finding better ways to have her needs met. But we continue to spend more money, and we're not always getting what we're spending money for. And I've watched Mr. Bates and I hear Courtney constantly talking about making sure we fund everything. I want to know how you would better spend the money so that our kids do that. I liked your question answer. I begged for IB before, did the baccalaureate, whatever it was, and it didn't happen. So what are are your ideas on how to better spend our money, or do you think we should keep throwing money at it like I've heard of these other things?
We will open this question to Mr. Kittleman first.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It makes me think about the program I designed for the Howard County government, for HOCO staff. I believe we need to have a staff program in Howard County that will look to provide performance measures and accountability measures to make sure that our money is being, your money, that's our money, your money, is being spent wisely and effectively and efficiently. I know the school system, I've talked to Dr. Foose, I think they're trying to do something similar, but I would like to work with Dr. Foose and the Board of Education to make sure that's happening there as well. I think the citizens of Howard County deserve to know that their money is being spent in an efficient, effective manner. I think that that's very, very important. We need to make sure that that's something that's available, it's open, it's a transparent process so that people can see where the money is being spent. Because in Annapolis we have a term, OPM, other people's money. And too often in Annapolis, they like to spend it because they feel like hey, it's not our money, we spend it, it's their money. We need to remember that we are stewards, and we are stewards of the money that you have worked hard to earn, and that you have provided to the county to make sure that you have the services that you deserve. And we have tremendous services in Howard County, but we need to make sure that they're done in the most efficient, effective way possible. And so I think my HOCO staff program will do that for Howard County government. I will encourage the school system to do something similar, but I know they're already working on that. But you're exactly right. We need to make sure that we're getting the best bang for our buck because you guys deserve that.
Yes, Diane, thank you for that question. And the amount of money that the school system spends currently on our students is about $10,500 a year. If you compare that to school systems across Maryland, it's right in the middle. And if you look at the educational system that Howard County has, it's very much at the top. And that's not to say, Diane, that the school system is perfect for every student. You chose, as you said, to homeschool your child, and people make different decisions, whether it's to homeschool or to put their child in a different school or a private school. And so it's important to just remember that everyone has to make their own choices for their own child and what's best for them. But in terms of the overall system, and certainly all of us have had the experience now and again when we've raised our children through the school system of something that you didn't like. Or you might have had 10 wonderful interactions with teachers, but one very poor interaction. And that's the result of a large system. But overall, our system is very good. In terms of making sure we spend the money carefully, I support Dr. Foose's Vision 2018, which I think has built into it some very important measurements of progress and achievement. In addition to that, she has implemented zero-based budgeting, which is going to help her find more efficiencies in her own budget. We are looking for efficiencies every day in conjunction with the school system. One example is the implementation of broadband. We are now, county government is now the provider of internet service for the school system, and that alone is saving $2 million. And that $2 million will be able to be reinvested in programs like International Baccalaureate or Model School Initiative or pre-K, all-day pre-kindergarten for our students. I think the last point I want to make here is it's so critically important for everyone in this room to pay attention to the Board of Education races, which we can talk about later.